Hello, this is Jen Wood, and I am an emotional well-being coach, a therapist, and a mindfulness teacher. And I want to welcome you to another Mindfulness Monday. And today we're going to practice settling our minds. And I'm just going to explain first why we might want to do that. Our minds can get really busy, and I think about it either as a hamster wheel in our minds that goes faster and faster and faster. I don't know if you've ever seen a hamster running on the hamster wheel and how it gets faster and faster and faster. And we can find that if we get involved with our thoughts, that's what it feels like. And we call it rumination, but it's just like being on that hamster wheel, and it can feel really exhausting. Another image that I quite like is the one of the snow globe. So if you imagine a snow globe being like our mind, and if we pick it up and if we give it a shake, and the snowflakes are everywhere, that can be like how our mind feels like. It can feel really busy, and if we can put the snow globe down, what happens is that the snowflakes settle, and that is much like what happens in our minds if we don't get involved with our thoughts. They just settle, and we can feel more at peace, more relaxed. And we start to settle the mind by purposefully setting the intention that we're going to settle our mind. We might want to set aside a few minutes to do that, like you're doing today. And it's really important to give yourself some time just for you. It's important self-care. So just, if you'd like to practice with me today, just starting off by finding a comfortable position to do this in. And it's ideal if you can be sitting up straight with your back straight. But the most important thing is that you feel comfortable, because we're going to be settling our minds. And it's really important that our body feels settled as well. It can really help. So just coming into a comfortable position, if you're sitting on a chair or something like a sofa, see if you can put your feet on the floor. And what I really like to do is imagine roots growing out of the soles of my feet right into the earth. And feel all the parts of your body that are in contact with what you're sitting on, all the parts of your body that are being supported by the chair or the floor. And again, as I mentioned, having your back straight helps. And sometimes I imagine just a golden thread on the top of the head, just very slightly pulling me up, helping me to straighten my back. And that helps me to relax my shoulders, slightly open my chest. And you can gently close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing that, or you can keep them open. And if you do keep them open, maybe half shutting the eyelids and just softening the gaze. And just focusing on your breath in a really relaxed way. And now see if you can breathe in a little more deeply than usual, breathing in through your nose. And it might help to imagine a balloon in your tummy, and as you breathe in, that balloon just gently expands. And as you release the breath, doesn't matter if you breathe out through your nose or your mouth, just imagine that balloon deflating. Imagine your tummy just flattening down. And as you continue to breathe in deeply and release the breaths should be gentle, so they shouldn't be audible. There shouldn't be too much noise. See if you can keep the in-breath and the out-breath the same length. So if you're breathing in for a count of 3, you're breathing out for a count of 3. And see if you can also breathe in smoothly and breathe out smoothly. So you're doing 2 things. You're following your breathing and you're counting. You might be counting. Maybe you're using a phrase. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Just see what's best. See what works best for you. Try this out. And you will notice as you do this that thoughts will pop into your head, and that's completely normal. Remember the snow globe? Our minds naturally get filled with thoughts. But what we're going to do is we're going to imagine, if this happens, that we're putting down the snow globe and we're going to try to not get involved with the thoughts. And we're going to do this by coming back to the breath, bringing our attention back to the breath, and maybe the counting. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing deeply into the belly, expanding the balloon in there. And as you breathe out, feeling the balloon flattening down. And you will find out that it's not possible to completely empty your mind. And that's not what we're trying to do. Our mind's full of thoughts. All we're trying to do is not get too involved with our thoughts, not to chase them, not to get onto that hamster wheel and start going faster and faster, because once we notice and get involved with one thought, we tend to get involved with other thoughts. It's like we go down the rabbit hole of thoughts. You're doing really well. And as you sit, focusing on your breath, just notice how a thought can pop into your head. And I don't know what that thought could be, but that thought could pop into your head. Maybe, oh, what am I going to have for tea tonight? And then you might think, I wonder if I've got that ingredient, and yeah, is it okay to go to the supermarket? And then you might think about other things that you might be worried about. And all we're doing is we're noticing that thought about, wonder what I'm going to have for tea tonight. And we're just coming back to the breath and coming back to counting. And not getting involved with that thought and just noticing the difference. Continue to breathe in and continue to breathe out. And as you notice your mind settling, you might notice yourself feeling a bit calmer. Every time you notice a thought popping up and you're able to bring yourself back to your breath, see if you can give yourself a smile. Really congratulate yourself for noticing that thought and coming back. Noticing your distraction and coming back. That is the practice of settling the mind, of allowing the snow globe to clear and all the snowflakes to settle. And we're just going to continue to keep our attention on our breathing for a few moments more, but see if we can keep that attention quite light. We're trying not to strive to keep our attention on our breathing. We want our attention to be like just a light feather, light attention, not putting too much effort into it, not trying too hard. Keeping our focus light. Every time you notice a distraction, a thought, giving yourself a smile as you bring yourself back to your breath. And now what we're going to do is we're going to focus a little bit more on our out-breath. So we were balancing the in-breath and the out-breath before, and now we're going to make the out-breath a little longer. So if you're breathing in for a count of 3, maybe you're breathing out for a count of 4. Continue to breathe in for a count of 3 and breathe out for a count of 5. And if that feels okay, breathe in for a count of 3 and breathe out for a count of 6. And just continue to do that if it feels okay for a couple more breaths. And just recognize, notice how that feels as our body releases the breath and relaxes. Our mind starts to release that involvement with thinking, releases that tendency to get onto the hamster wheel. We put down the snow globe of our minds and the snowflake thoughts settle. And just enjoying that for a moment more until we just let go of doing anything at all. Let go of the breathing being a particular way. Let go of the idea of the snow globe. Let go of the idea of a hamster wheel and just rest for a moment, noticing what you're sitting on, noticing your feet on the floor. You might even be sitting on a cushion cross-legged. Just notice all the parts of your body that are in contact, that are being supported. And just allow everything to come back to a place of rest. Resting in the body, resting with the breath, resting in this present moment. And just bringing attention back to your feet and your hands, maybe wiggling your toes and moving your fingers, adjusting your body if you need to, and if you have your eyes closed, just preparing to open your eyes, and finally opening your eyes, and welcome back. And thank you so much for joining me, Jen Wood, for another Mindfulness Monday. And I'd love to hear how you got on with your practice. I look forward to seeing you again next week.